The rub at the green has not quite gone in favour of two teams that will be in action. They've both been eliminated. Both teams in green, Pakistan and Ireland, have already been knocked out. They will not be a part of the Super 8. So life has been anything but utopian for these two teams. Perfect setting of utopia in the Cricbuzz live studio because happy team as always. And also thanks to Miss Saimi Kher, we've received some lovely mangoes from her farm, which is also called the Utopia Farms. Have you received your goodie bag, sir?
I've received my goodie bag, and what an appropriate day. I just watching the Netherlands play football, the House of Orange play football. And mangoes and oranges, it's a fruity. So.
Yeah, it is. Well, and Michael Vaughan has his heart and his head divided between his first love and his second. Second one, of course, being cricket. Right?
What's my first love?
I don't know her name.
Well played.
But for an England sports lover, this is a busy time. And the fact that England have qualified for the Super 8s at the T20 World Cup means that there are fewer brawls in pubs and bars in England.
Yeah, and obviously the football team start tonight in the Euros, but there was a few nervy moments last night for England. First and foremost, the rain came down in Antigua. Luckily, the day games, you get an hour and a half really of rain breaks to get the game started. So I had my scouts over in Antigua telling me that it was all going to be fine. But when the rain came down heavy on a regular basis, I started to get a little bit concerned. But once they got out there, I knew they'd beat Namibia. I thought they'd always have obviously more of a chance against them. But then the Scots started to play against Australia. Australia started to field like me. They were dropping balls left, right and centre. The Scots probably should have got 200 with the way that they started. Yeah. And then Australia were saved really by Stoinis and Travis Head, who struck the ball beautifully. Yeah. That ground and that pitch in St Lucia, I think England play there on Wednesday against the West Indies. I think there's going to be big scores. The wind boundaries aren't massive and the pitch looks pretty pure. So delighted England are through. I think they deserve it. They're obviously one of the top 8 teams in the world, if not one of the top 4. So delighted that they've got through.
But your country and the weather there is in a very tricky marriage with the rain. Has the rain been the most talked about thing in England in context with the cricket here? Yeah,
I mean, you don't generally talk about rain when you've got a tournament in the Caribbean, but it's that time of year where the showers are starting. Obviously, Florida, New York, we've not really had too much cricket there over the years, so we're not too sure about the weather there. And Florida clearly has had plenty of rain, but England are usually good in the rain. I think that's why Scotland have played so well in this World Cup. They're so used to rain and drizzle and cloud. And they've put up a really, really good show in this World Cup, the Scots. Probably of the associate teams that we didn't expect to qualify, you would say that Scotland have been the best of them.
Right, and most cricket fans, neutrals as well, are saying, thank God this is the last game in the United States. But England, it's a side that is a pretty solid white ball side and they deserve to go through. And if you look at the teams they will play in the Super 8s, I suppose they will fancy their chances. They are a solid contender for the semi-finals.
No, they're an absolutely solid contender for the semi-finals. I mean, they would have preferred it the other way around to play the United States first, perhaps a nice, soft, easy one, get one under the belt in the next two. But look, as I said, the West Indies are that kind of side. They're a very up and down side, lots of talent, lots of ability, but they don't seem to have a clear leader. And it's an interesting thing. I mean, the 2 times that they won the World Cup, if you see the West Indies, they won it under a captain who was never himself great statistically. I mean, Darren Sammy has led them to 2 World Cups. And they have a stadium in his name. And if you look at his stats, it's not hardly as if he bowls you over. But he managed to get that team together. And I think if they have that one personality or person who binds them, they're a dangerous side. But I really reckon England has a really good chance.
I actually think last night's game against Namibia, that England stumbled across what I think is their best team. Okay. Because it was it went to an 11 overs game, then it went down to a 10 over game. They got rid of Will Jacks, so they got rid of one of their mainstay batters, brought in Sam Curran, so strengthened their kind of all-round ability, more batting, more bowling. The only change I would make, I'd bring Mark Wood in for Chris Jordan. I understood what they wanted yesterday, but for the 20 over games, I'd go Mark Wood for Chris Jordan. Will Jacks is dreadfully unlucky. You could have said that it could have been a toss-up between he and Johnny Bairstow because they're both similar players and Will Jacks offers you a little bit with the ball as well. But I actually thought last night watching, maybe they have stumbled across their best team going forward. And it's just that one change I would make is Mark Wood in for Chris Jordan, and that would be England's team going to the Super 8s.
Semi-finals calling for sure?
Oh, they're not for sure, no way. I mean, all that's in me, the USA can surprise a team or two. South Africa are very, very dangerous, very powerful, but haven't quite been in great form. And do they know how to win a World Cup? They haven't done that so far. So you have to put that big question mark against South Africa. I think the game on Wednesday will be a huge game for both teams, the West Indies and England. But if England can beat the West Indies, the hosts, in St. Lucia on Wednesday, I think they'll be in the semi-finals.
England did win their first ever ICC trophy in the West Indies, so they may have to just turn the clock back 14 years ago and remember that day when they were on top of the world in T20 cricket. Now, for this game, Pakistan versus Ireland, Pakistan have won the toss. Something's going Pakistan's way, and they have decided to field first. Big toss to win under the conditions. The pitch has been under the covers for the last 3 days, I think.
Yeah. That pitch, nobody has seen that pitch for a long, long time.
Is there a pitch there?
Or is it a pond?
No, but I mean, I'm just really interested in seeing the Pakistan side today because, I mean, how are they going to play this? Either they're going to say, okay, let's give it our best team, our best shot, do it, give our spectators another win, or do they say that no, wholesale changes, give everybody a chance? I mean, against a team like Ireland, if you can't give people a chance, we can never give it anyway. This is not a game of any consequence. Anyway, we're going to take the flight in a day, so it doesn't matter. So I think how they play it and how they come out is something that will give us some sort of an indication of where this whole thing is going.
I've just been told Naseem Shah misses out, so we will talk about those changes in just a bit. But Pakistan and controversy go hand in hand. Their lack of preparation or lack of planning or the random decisions that are made at the PCB level have been a story for a long, long time. Just take a look at their preparation for this World Cup. Is there a story in there? Was there an issue with their preparation and the series they played?
Oh yeah, you could say. I mean, you look at England; they went to the Caribbean before Christmas, but everyone, not every team in the world can go and play in the country where the World Cup's going to take place. I just don't think they're a great team. I think look at the preparation and the results. They've hardly got on a winning run. They've obviously beaten the Irish 2-1, lost to England, drew against New Zealand, lost to New Zealand, drew 2 series against New Zealand. So you play 3 series against the same team, which isn't great. I mean, that's not great preparation when you're playing against one team in 3 consecutive series. But I honestly just don't think they're a great team. And that's not being disrespectful. I just look at the way that Pakistan play T20 cricket compared to some of the other teams. I just don't think they've got enough power. I think they've got decent bowlers. I think they've got some half-decent bowlers, particularly the seam bowlers. I think they're lacking world-class spinner, which is unheard of, really, in Pakistan. You generally have a couple of bowlers that can spin it either way. They haven't got that, so they're relying on the likes of Harris Raut, Naseem Shah, Mohammed Amir, Shaheen Afridi, 4 quality seamers. They're good bowlers. But if you look at the batting, and if you look at Australia, Australia have got 8 players that can whack sixes, can just clear the rope. How many of that Pakistan batting lineup do you look at and go, destructive, powerful players, good players, and they can play nicely? Babar's a wonderful player, but is he a big six hitter? Rizwan, is he a big sixer? They've got Bhattacharjya who can clear the ropes. Other than that, I just don't think they've got the power. So whatever Pakistan do from here, I think they will make changes. I think Gary Kirsten will bring probably some younger players in to try and build that culture and that squad together. But he needs to find in T20 cricket some power. That top 8, every single player that walks out has to, within 2 or 3 balls, be able to hit sixes. Pakistan don't have that.
Now, Imad Wasim was quoted as saying that we need to play fire with fire, and that fire has been missing. It's a good line, but Mohsin Naqvi, the PCB boss, was apparently quoted saying that there will be a major surgery. Now, that's what Imad Wasim has said. He said the fear of failure was an issue, and that's where things have gone wrong. But Mohsin Naqvi saying there could be, or there is a possibility of a major surgery. What does he mean by that?
No, I think that's what, and this is, I mean, this quote is a nice quote, and I think this is straight out of a book of sporting excellence, how to perform. And I mean, this guy's thinking about the cricket, and I'm glad he is. But I think the more important quote is Mohsin Naqvi sitting with all these Pakistani reporters in an airport lounge and saying that there is going to be major surgery, because you see, you've got a situation which is, I mean, which hasn't been great for a very long time. It's not just now. If you look at Pakistan cricket since 2011, I mean, you've had, somebody like a Najam Sethi take over. Then Najam Sethi is there. The moment Imran Khan comes back, he gets rid of him. Zaka Ashraf was there before him. Zaka Ashraf got removed. Zaka Ashraf comes back when Najam Sethi goes out. Okay, and they keep exchanging places depending on the regime. And that's one problem. I mean, the government changing means the PCB chief changing is not a great idea at all.
Yeah.
And now your current chief, what's his main job? I mean, Mohsin Naqvi, maybe he is no experience in cricket administration. He is the Minister for the Interior. I mean, he's a full-fledged politician who comes into cricket and says, okay, I want to do something about it. And intentions may be good, but the problem is that too many, left-right changes are a problem. And every time if your government changes, if your PCB changes as well, that's a serious problem for cricketers. So I think that is one serious problem that they need to consider about the way they run their cricket. And every time that your cricket administration, this is true of Bangladesh as well, every time your cricket administration is impacted by your political administration on a daily basis, it's a problem. Because whatever it is, with all its problems in Indian cricket reasonably runs by itself. The regime is relatively stable. No matter what the situation is, games go on. And you don't get huge changes coming from a chairman. You may get changes coming from their policy changes done by the chairman, but they are not going to mess around with who's going to be the captain, who's going to be the coach. I think those things don't happen.
Now, they were knocked out of the ODI World Cup in India. They changed the captain. They got Shaheen Afridi in charge. Lost the series in New Zealand 4-1. They got him out, brought Babar back in. So this needs a multiple surgery for multiple organs. It's a multiple organ failure for Pakistan. What does Dr. Gary Kirsten look at first?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, of all the teams in the world, we tend to talk about the Pakistan chairman far too much. Whoever the chairman is, the chairman shouldn't be even spoken about.
Exactly.
I shouldn't even know who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the problem, that there's quite a few subcontinent teams, they have these issues, whether it's Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. They seem to have these kind of leadership structures where the chairman of the board has so much power. It's surely down to the coach and the captain and the players.
Exactly.
And Gary Kirsten needs to be given the power to do what he needs to do to get that team playing. Whether it is to get rid of some of the senior players just to start all over again, maybe that's one option. Maybe he wants to give the senior players a little bit more opportunity. Gary Kirsten is someone that likes to get the best out of people. And he'll be looking at Pakistan thinking, is there a huge amount of strength in depth? I don't think there is. I don't think there's many players that are out of this squad that are crying to be in the squad. So I would think Gary's the perfect kind of person at the minute for Pakistan cricket. But I've just had enough of listening and hearing about the Pakistan chairman or the swapping and changing. The chairman comes in, he gets rid of the coach, gets rid of the captain. They just need somehow some consistency. It's very difficult because there's a lot of pressure, and a lot of pressure comes from the outside, and a huge amount of pressure comes from the ex-players in Pakistan. Gary Kirsten's going to have to be and Jason Gillespie with the Test match team is going to have to be very, very strong in themselves to just get what they need to try and build the team and the structure. And I'm pretty sure both those people that I've mentioned, Gary and Jason Gillespie, they're good coaches. And if they're given the right amount of time and the right amount of backing and the freedom to manage how they feel they need to manage and bring in the players that they feel for the team that they're trying to build, I would say that they'll get it. I wouldn't say they're going to be world beaters quickly, but they won't get them far away because there'll certainly be a lot of talent in Pakistan.
Is the talent pool shallow?
I don't think the talent pool is shallow. I think one thing has hurt them, and these things always hurt you later, which is that, after that, those incidents in 2010-11, 5, 6, 7 years, no cricket happening in Pakistan, as in international players not coming in. Now, those things don't impact you then as much as directly as they impact you later, because you have a sort of lacuna, and while your current cricketers will always play and make up for it, at some point in time it's going to tell, and these things impact you 4, 5, 6 years later. So I think that is one issue. Again, I go back to what he's saying. I mean, why should nobody in Indian cricket, and the president has no right to turn around and say what the team selection is going to be. Team selection is determined by the coach and the selectors and the captain. And they are the guys who are doing it. Whether major changes need to be made, anything needs to be made, it's their call. It's not his call at all. His call is to make, decisions like how much money the Ranji Trophy players need to be paid, or when the, Syed Mushtaq Ali tournament should be played, or salaries for women cleared. So be clear about what your roles are. And I think what's happening is, especially in Pakistan and Bangladesh, that PCB and BCB, these are plum posts. These are all there in the news. People want to be there. So political people want to be in charge of these things. And I think that's, you're getting, when these roles get mixed up, there's always trouble.
They've got a Champions Trophy in February. in their own backyard. So that is a great foil for Pakistan cricket. If that trophy and competition is in Pakistan, it's going to be great for the country. You've got to also remember Pakistan had such a long period of time where they weren't allowed to play cricket in their own backyard. So I do think that's hurt them. But I just look at that Champions Trophy in February and March time. It's going to be a nice kind of way of us seeing if Gary Kirsten's worked his magic, because it's 7 or 8 months' time.
Yeah.
We'll see Pakistan again in the world stage, and I'm pretty sure Gary will get them performing just that little bit better.
Before we take a look at the 11s, let me ask you a more direct question. With the kind of T20 cricket we're seeing being played these days, 200 plus has become the norm. Does Babar Azam, or do Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan, are they relevant enough for Pakistan's white ball cricket in the near future?
Well, I think they are, because I don't think there's many waiting in the wings to push them out of the way. Look, there's a role for Babar Azam in any team if you get him playing properly. I mean, he's a wonderful player, but I think around Babar, and Rizwan, you need some real power. You need probably 4 or 5 others that can just whack it out the ground pretty much from ball one. I look at someone like Phil Salt. Phil Salt has just got this mentality. He goes out there from ball, he plays baseball, and he just whacks it. There's many other players around the world that do that as well, but I don't see that many players in Pakistan, and maybe it's the pressure that they're under. A lot of Pakistan players and subcontinental players, actually, they seem to always play for themselves. Yeah. There's quite a look at my number first before the team. Yeah. And I think Gary, what he'll try and do is get Pakistan playing collectively as a team. Yeah. And then the individual numbers will happen naturally. But it's all about the team first and foremost. And they need power. They're going to need some power, some six-hitters, and not just on slow, low Pakistan wickets, on wickets around the world that just bounce a bit, maybe swing a little bit more. But you've just got to have those players with a mentality that it's pretty much from ball one, you're looking to hit sixes.
Somehow the numbers are not translated. The numbers from the PSL are not visible at this level.
But look, I was going through the PSL numbers, and it's not that there are too many players sitting out there who we don't know about. Yeah. I mean, there's Mohammad Hasnain, there's a bowler, there's Abdullah Shafiq, there's Haider Ali. There are 3-4 cricketers, but it's not as if there's a whole lot of young talent out there who's there to take over immediately. Yeah. So I think that's the one thing, that before you're calling them, these guys are obviously, they have to select with what they have. Yep. And at this point in time, I agree with Michael that the number of power hitters in Pakistan cricket, I mean, one of the reasons why Azam Khan was selected was, despite the fact that he's obviously unfit, is the fact that he can whack the spinners and medium pacers. Yeah. And they thought he'd be useful in some way in the West Indies. Yeah. So they're picking somebody like him. That means there aren't that many options out there at this point in time. And I think that's it. That's one thing Gary will do well. He'll bring in more people. He'll have larger camps. He'll develop more players. And I think you'll see overall results. 7-8 months may be short, but if they give him a bit of a lead time, he'll start showing results, definitely.
If he can pull India out of that 2007 hole, there's no reason why he can't do that Pakistan.
Yeah, I mean, I think this will be his hardest challenge. I always felt India back in 2007 they had quality players, real high-class players. I just don't see them in Pakistan at the minute. I see 3 or 4 that are world-class. Around that, you've just got some, not ordinary cricketers, but some decent cricketers that can, on their given day, do nicely. But do you see a group of players that are going to go and dominate and play, consistently well in World Cups, in Test match cricket, in 50-over cricket? At the minute, they're going through a period where they don't have quite the real world-class performers that some of the other teams have got. I also think they're in a World Cup where there's some better teams. If you think about the last World Cup where they made the final, I thought there was some poor teams in Australia. Yeah. For whatever reason, some of the teams just didn't quite get the combinations right. I look at this World Cup, I think this is the hardest T20 World Cup to win. I really do think there's 6 or 7 teams that have arrived and the high class in their T20 skill sets.
Yep. Right, Pakistan's 11 has seen one change. No Naseem Shah, they've brought in the 23-year-old right-arm fast bowler, Abbas Afridi. Michael, how do you look at that change? They're just maybe an audition for Abbas Afridi to see how he goes. If there is going to be a surgery, maybe they need to look at him.
Well, it's quite disappointing, actually, unless Naseem Shah's got an injury. Yeah. We're looking at, when you start with surgery, you're generally looking at a new generation of player. Yeah. And Naseem Shah is quite young, so he must have a niggle. We'll have to wait and see on that, but...
Nothing that Babar said at the toss about it, so he just said Naseem's not playing.
Look, whatever it is, you're right. This is not a team for change. This is This is a team trying to put its best 11 forward still and wanting one convincing win before they go back.
Yeah.
This is clearly not, they're not experimenting at all.
Yeah.
So I tend to agree with him. There must be something wrong with him, because with no other changes out there, you'll have to guess that it's just something that's wrong, something's wrong with him. Because I think what they want to do is just have a big, solid, comprehensive win.
Yeah.
And I'm not against that. I think it's absolutely, they have a job to do. The job is not over. No matter what the results are, the job is not over. Yeah. Get our best team out there. Give our fans something to cheer.
Well, the problem with Pakistan cricket is we're talking about Gary Kirsten, and giving him a bit of time to build a team. You just never know what's going to happen in Pakistan. They go home having losing to Ireland in the last game. You just don't know what happens. So that sometimes is the problem. Is that we're sitting here in a nice comfy sofa in Mumbai saying, oh, they've got to try and build for the future. In Pakistan, your future is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that is a real issue. If Gary Kirsten has been sat down and said, look, you're going to get 2 years. 2 years to build this side. Whatever happens, you've got 2 years. I think that's the only way to make them into a potentially a really good side, by giving the coach a number of kind of months to build this team. Because that isn't a team looking at the future. That's just trying to beat Ireland today, which obviously you have to, but fundamentally, what's more important? Is it bedding a couple of youngsters today and just building for the future, or winning one game of cricket? I always think with Pakistan, it's always about the given day rather than actually looking to the future.
And tonight's results shouldn't change much, right, for them?
Yeah, look, I think they have to win. For them, things could get worse if they lose today. Let's put it that way. Things are not going to get better if
they might be staying in Florida if they don't win.
But I think my theory of Pakistan cricket is, where does it work best? It's worked best with a benevolent dictatorship of somebody like an Imran Khan. I take the decisions. I see this kid, Wasim Akram, in the nets. Okay, you're going to play 2 days later. I decide the team. You have anything to do with me? You want to change my players? You sack me first. Go and tell the world that you're sacking Imran Khan. And the Pathan used to do it exactly that way. And if you see their major success, they have had talented teams before. They've had talented teams till the mid-70s. People like Asif Iqbal, really talented teams. Sarfraz Nawaz, Imran Khan playing for you, Majid Khan batting. They got their results between that period when Imran Khan was on top.
Yeah.
And you have to say, after that, still Wasim still had certain amount of power and ability.
Yeah.
And then that's the problem. Once that is gone, you haven't had somebody who could turn around and stand up against all political opposition and say, these are the players I want and I need them to play, otherwise I'm not going to do it.
The next season of House of Cards could or should feature Pakistan cricket as the heart of that story. Now, Ireland's 11 has seen one change as well. In comes Benjamin White, the leg spinner, and out goes Craig Young, an extra spinner, because they've got Delaney as well as George Dockrell. So what does that tell you about what Ireland are thinking, Michael?
I'm not so sure, actually. I mean, Ireland will be disappointed with this World Cup. Generally, Ireland always compete in World Cups. They get there and they win a couple of games. They always push the major teams. And I think they'll be really disappointed with the way that they played. Losing to Canada was a big loss for them. Losing to India, that's expected. But to lose to Canada, and the way that they lost in that game, they'll be disappointed. So they're quite a senior team now. They've got quite a lot of experience. There's a lot of those players plays in leagues around the world. They've played a number of games for Ireland. They get lots of opportunities. They do play quite a lot of series against the top teams, Ireland. So I think they'll be really disappointed with the way that they've played in this year's World Cup, and they'll know that group, again, that there's no players from the outside that you think are going to improve them. That group will probably stay together once again. So they'll just have to work out what went wrong in this World Cup, because I know the pitch has not been easy in New York. It's been a real hard. So those batters at the top of the order have found it very difficult to find rhythm, as all the teams' top order has found in New York. So I don't think that's helped them. But usually Ireland, you always say competitive.
Yeah.
The competitive. You look at Scotland of what they've done.
Yeah.
And I would always say that Scotland, Ireland are always a little bit better. But Scotland in this World Cup have just gone ahead of Ireland in terms of their performances. And I think the Irish will be disappointed with that.
The Afghanis have really grown in stature and confidence. They have a lot of players playing across the world in different leagues. Why has that not happened with Ireland? What's gone wrong with them, despite getting test status?
I think they've got... See, one is that I think too much is made of test status. I mean, it's a good thing, but to try and prepare, have players playing 3-day games for 5-day games. How many test matches have they played? They played 8 test matches in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So the point of it is, sometimes test matches are like a white elephant. It's given to you saying that, okay, you've got test status, so you need to play test matches.
Yeah.
But the amount of time you spend preparing for test matches and the kind of preparation that you need to do takes a huge amount of their resources.
Yeah.
So I really think Ireland is... And, smaller countries with less resources should go after the smaller formats, shorter formats, and I feel T20 is the best format to go after because it's the most equal of formats. Short period of time. To do well in Test match cricket, you need far more depth, far more, far better players who can play over a longer period of time. So I think sometimes, the dream of Test cricket takes people away, and everyone, even today Virat Kohli, says my dream is to play Test cricket for India. He doesn't say the way they look at it is that way, but I think they have to be more focused, put their eye on the T20 and say this is what we're going to live or die with, and I think they've got enough good players. Right now, that's an aging core, right? It's a bit of an aging core, but it's still got some really, really good players. I think young players are coming in, Tector is coming, Josh Little is coming. There is a little bit of an injection of young talent, but most of the old guys are like Sterling, Balboni, they're like veterans with them.
Maybe more bilaterals against bigger teams the way to go for them?
Yeah, I mean, they play quite a few. They do get some big teams going over to Ireland to play in quite a lot of bilateral series, so I don't think they can complain in terms of what they get, in terms of the schedule. They've just not performed. I guess in T20 cricket you can have that. You can look at Sri Lanka. They're not performing very well, and they're a top side. And you kind of look at a lot of these associate nations. I think of all the associate nations, when we arrive at a World Cup, we always think Ireland, they'll be competitive. It's really the first World Cup that I can remember going back that Ireland have disappointed. It's very rarely that they disappoint. So let's give them a one-off.
But there's one match. Look, if you look at disappointed, not disappointed, it's one match. It's basically Ireland-Canada. They win that, you'll say, okay, they've had an average World Cup. It's one match, it's one day, and perhaps you're calling too much on the basis of one day.
Right. Today, though, the top three that have had a very lackluster World Cup, that's Balboni, Paul Sterling and Lachlan Tucker, who enjoys batting at 3. They'll be up against Shaheen Afridi, who by reputation is an absolute superstar. But he's had a poor World Cup, Joy, just 2 wickets, an average of 41. Clearly, Pakistan's fortunes also, in a sense, tied with what Shaheen Afridi does. He was captain, taken off. Could that have played on his mind, perhaps?
Definitely. Absolutely, definitely. I mean, the way it happened, the way Babar Azam was removed, the way he comes in, the way he's gone back again to Babar Azam, and the word is that they're not particularly on good terms. So if your best fast bowler and your captain are not really friendly with each other, look, it's one thing. You can put professionalism aside and say that, we don't need to like each other to play for Pakistan. But I think it's impacted Shaheen Afridi's performance because he's the guy who's supposed to take wickets for them up front. He's the Stark of Pakistan, Big guy, swings it in, gets the wickets up front. If he's not getting early breakthroughs, Pakistan is usually in trouble.
But it's the batters that have let the team down, isn't it? It's not the bowling.
No, I mean, again, they've had to bat at New York, which has not been easy. But, I just look at that game against India. They were strolling that match. They win that match, they go through to the Super 8s. And, all the pressure's then on India because they've lost to Pakistan. That was really the big lie. I mean, to lose to the United States, that was chaos. Carnage at the end. Shouldn't have, anyway, got near to losing that game. And then they get to the Super Over and the wheels came off. They were just mentally all over the place. And I guess that's Pakistan cricket, but against India, that was just a mental freeze. They just didn't know and didn't believe that they could beat the Indian side. I just look at Shaheen Afridi. I mean, Shaheen Afridi's causing a lot of problems because he was heavily involved in Pakistan cricket, and he's obviously commenting and saying there's problems within the camp, the problem with the captain. That can't be helping. It cannot be helping when you've got a direct link from outside the team to in the side, and he's talking publicly about potentially conversations that he's having with people within the camp. I don't know what Shaheen Afridi did wrong as a captain. I know they lost 4-1 in New Zealand, but he'd only just started the job and suddenly he gets it taken off. And so, like Joy says, you can understand why he's a bit aggrieved by that. But, his bowling in New York should have been better, on that kind of wicket. If you'd have probably said, go and give us 6 seam bowlers who you wouldn't want to face in New York in this era of T20 cricket, I would say that you'd say Shaheen Afridi would be in that 6. So I just think he's bowled, particularly on that, I thought he bowled a bit too full. All the good seamers were whacking it into length and it was doing all sorts. I thought he just bowled a nice friendly length to the batter.
Right, Shaheen Afridi has taken a lot of T20 wickets, but as a premier bowler, this is the kind of opportunity you want, Joy, right? When the team's hurting, when your pride's been bruised as well, this is when you run in fast and show the opposition that you are still very much there.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, he said one thing which is really important. I mean, you look at it that way, the economy rate 8.22 is not bad because bowlers tend to go for it. My point is the lack of wickets. And I think this year you can see the number of wickets he has taken. So 49 wickets would be a serious amount. I mean, that's a serious number of wickets he's taken. So he's not doing badly overall. It's just this World Cup that he's not doing well. And that can definitely be, because that includes PSL wickets as well, that can definitely be removal from captaincy is one part. But I think he said one thing very important out here. I mean, normal fast bowlers around the world, the moment they don't bowl what's called length normally. Length is death, because on Indian pitches, the 250, 260 pitches, you bowl length, it's where you can get whacked all over.
Yeah.
So you tend to pitch it up and hope to get the Yorker. Now the point is, this is a very different kind of wicket. This is a wicket where you needed to bowl length and let the pitch do the rest of its stuff. Now you've come from the subcontinent where you're used to bowling a particular length. The smarter bowlers adjusted their lengths very fast, and I think they didn't react that fast.
Yeah.
If you see Bumrah's pitch map of where he bowled in the IPL to where he bowled here, where he's bowling here, you'll see the pitch match is very, very different. And I think Shaheen Shah just went into his rhythm and just did the same things that he does in subcontinental conditions.
Right, and the smarter quizzers typically wait for you to give them what you do typically around this time of the show. Joy Factor, I've been told it's a very, very tough one today, Joy.
It's a tough one today. It's very few clues out there. In One Day International in 2006, what unique incident happened off a Mashrafe Mortaza wicket? So you can check out how many wickets he took that year, and you can always find out the matches. But the only hint I can give everyone is just think of what day it is today.
Father's Day.
Okay?
That's a big clue from Mr. Michael Vaughan. The correct answer and the winner shall be announced at the end of our coverage tonight. Just enough time for us to get your predictions in, gentlemen. Island batting first.
112.
Ooh.
That's 100 too many.
112, okay. He's got me. 99.
Okay. One wicket down already.
Oops.
Shaheen knocks over Balbirnie. Do you want to change yours?
No, 99. I'll stay.
I'm going to say 72. Early finish in store. Enjoy the first innings. We'll see you at the halfway mark. Bye-bye.